Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Nate Matthews Leader, and I'm joined by my co-host,
Maggie and Tim, and we are the Inside Agents. On this weekly podcast, we'll be discussing hot topics around football and the sports industry from two agents' perspectives.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of the Inside Agents. You're here with your host, Nate Matthews, and my co-host, Maggie Intim. And this episode is another episode of Inside Football.
Yes, thank you so much for that intro, Nate. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in for another episode of the Inside Agents. Today, we'll be discussing some really, really cool topics and just everything that's going on in the world of football, or as most will say in America, the world of soccer. We'll be touching on the National Women's Soccer League, MLS, USL, Premier League, and any and everything that has been happening within the sport of soccer and football. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you guys for joining us. Maggie, let's jump right into the Women's Challenge Cup, the first professional sports league back in North America. The women kicked it off. Let's go first and foremost. The last episode, if you guys didn't listen to it on Inside Football, Maggie made some predictions that did come true. Just to big her up a little bit.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Let's talk about some performances, what you thought of it so far. What is your overall thoughts on the Challenge Cup so far?
So my overall thoughts was that, for one of my predictions obviously is happening, right? We see it happening, where that prediction was that North Carolina Courage would lead through, and not just because they're the fan favorite, but when you look at the squads of each and every team, of the 8 out of the 9 teams, of course, because for those who didn't listen to our previous episode, or they're not aware, or maybe you are aware, Orlando Pride, did withdraw from the tournament due to health reasons, with dealing with the global pandemic of COVID or whatnot. So that leaves us to 8 teams left. And obviously North Carolina is carrying the torch, man. They're carrying the torch. I did also feel that teams like Houston Dash would be there, and they're within the top 5. Nate, I know you were a fan of, was it Portland that you were going for?
I was going for Washington Spirit.
Oh, you were going for Washington. Okay. So you were going for Washington. So Washington is in the top 2.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to say this. I thought that they were going to be there for sure, but they're impressive, man. They're impressive. I got to say that. They're impressive. And it's going to be interesting.
Very, very interesting, because just following up, we both did, we did say North Carolina. They have the best team on paper, and they've shown it. Mm-hmm. Those girls have shown it. The girl, I'm not gonna say who impressed me, but I'm a fan of Lynn Williams after the first round.
Yes, Lynn is awesome. Lynn is awesome.
Tearing it up. I mean, she's been involved in half of the team's goals.
Yep. Yeah. She's leading right now too, for the top players, top performers.
The Challenge Cup with 3 goals, 1 assist, and she also the team has scored 7 goals in total, so she's been involved with 4 of them. Of course, we know Crystal got a goal as well. Good for her.
Yes, that was a hell of a shot, man. When she did that, I was like, "Woo!"
That was wicked. And now, this weekend, we come into the knockout round. One thing I am gonna say I'm excited about is each league is kind of set up differently. USL set up differently, but we'll jump into that later. But I really like that every team, now that it's the knockout round and there's 8 teams, the 8th seed has a chance we could potentially see some good upsets. The 8th seed may beat the number 1 seed. I don't see it happening. North Carolina is just too powerful. But every other team besides, I would say, Washington and North Carolina, all the games were really close and really tight. So anybody can beat anybody, I think.
They can. I've said it before, and I'm going to say it again. My prediction, North Carolina Courage versus Washington in the finals, unless at the time Houston Dash comes through with something different. But of course, with the lineup for the quarterfinals and then leading into the semifinals, North Carolina is going to take it all the way. I have North Carolina winning the cup. And if anyone wants to debate me, whether it's Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, if you want to bet on this, please, let's do it. North Carolina all day. Courage is taking it. Like, I mean, shout out to Lynn Williams, Crystal Dunn, Jessica McDonald. Unfortunately, Ali Watt is out because, you know, she's the rookie, but she got hurt, torn her ACL in the beginning. So it's unfortunate, but yes, it is. But the rest of the rookies are holding her down, like Addison, Merrick, and you know, the other women from that's on the team. It's like, yeah, they're just too strong. They're too strong. But I will say, I've been very impressed with Houston. I thought Houston's doing a phenomenal job. Sky Blue, I'm a fan of that club as well, and just want to see them do even more. I'm also a huge fan of Chicago Red Stars. They've been, you know, proving themselves. They definitely did in the last game. But if I had to say my predictions of, you know, the finals, it's gonna be, or if we say okay, semifinals, then we're looking at North Carolina, Washington. I'd say Houston, and I'd probably give it to Chicago if they can pull through. If they can pull through, those would be my top four. That's my top four, because I think Portland, I don't know. Utah, maybe.
That's going to be a close one. I honestly
Wayne, I don't know.
I think that Utah-Houston game is going to be a very close one.
It is.
I think it could go either way depending on which team shows up. I think overall that definitely it's going to come up to Rachel and how Rachel performs. Because if Rachel decides she's going to put a couple in for Houston, then...
That's true. That is true. And she's one of the top performers too.
Yeah.
So it could work with Houston for sure. But I would also say too, if Chicago didn't perform as well, I would still keep the same three teams to the semifinals, where it would be, you know, obviously North Carolina Courage, Washington Spirit, Houston Dash, and I'd probably put Sky Blue in place of Chicago, because I wouldn't sleep on Sky Blue. They got a pretty nice squad. I wouldn't sleep on them. But honestly, that's the beauty of the game. It's like when there's underdogs, you can never really sleep on those underdogs, because you just never know what they're going to bring.
That is very true. And to be honest, between second and eighth place, or even third place and eighth place, they were only split by 2 points. It's like one win. So between third place and eighth place, it really could have gone any way. The games were so tight. I'm excited. I think honestly there can be upsets, but I think North Carolina is gonna take it just because that team's just they're different.
I mean, yes, we know. We already know. We already know. And speaking,
go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. No, you go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, to be fair, it's a lot harder for teams that are like the North Carolinas of the world, or the PSGs of the world, or the Juventus, or the top teams to... Everyone holds you at that high standard, and these girls are really showing like we're the best on paper, and we're the best like on the field as well, because a lot of teams are really trying to take the crown from them, but they're not letting it happen.
Let me tell you something. It's been said, North Carolina is a place that breeds talent, great talent for both men and women, whether we're talking about soccer or we're talking about basketball, obviously, you know, with the great Michael Jordan and just what he's done. And when you look at even some of these NFL players and what they've done, coming from North Carolina, it says a lot. It says a lot. If I'm, you know, as an agent, it's nothing but a great feeling to have players that are playing for like the top seed, you know, team. It's nothing better than that. I don't, though, for the record, ladies and gentlemen, I do not represent any women players. Yet on that team. But if I did, I'd still be cheering them on as a fan. And so Nate, speaking of teams and just everything that's been happening, right? So obviously with Orlando being out, it would have been very interesting to see if Orlando um, was a part of this tournament, because I think the tournament would have went differently too. I,
I,
I
I I completely agree because I said I was a fan of Orlando and I was excited to see them play. Um, I think they have a good roster on paper as well. They would have at least
yeah.
they would have definitely stirred up the pot here in this tournament. I think honestly I could see them finishing in as a second or third seed. Orlando, to be honest, I saw them second or third seed, not beating North Carolina, of course. Like I didn't see that happening. Like number one was always going to be North Carolina, but
Exactly.
but to be honest,
Always number
though,
one.
I'm not even gonna lie. Washington, I was a fan favorite of
Yeah,
them, but I
Washington
didn't
is.
expect them to even finish second. To be honest, I
It's okay
expected
to
them
come
to
on
be.
over to the NC bandwagon now. It's okay. It's all right. It's all
I
right.
mean,
It's all right.
you,
Everyone else is going to be doing it after this weekend. They're going to say, hey, you know what? Yeah, Maggie, we're definitely going to join that train and just root for NC. But honestly, a lot of people have been my prediction has been correct. A lot of people saying, look, Mag, we agree. It's going to be North Carolina versus Washington.
yeah,
And that's where you'll have people that just don't like North Carolina. They're going to vote for Washington, or people will say, you know what? I got to give it to North Carolina. And both teams, to me, are amazing. They have performed the most in this Challenge Cup, so it's really exciting. It's really exciting, and once again, as we speak of these teams and the National Women's League, this past week, something interesting happened. There was an announcement of the new expansion team called Racing Louisville FC. First of all, just I'm so excited for them to even launch this, because I am dying to go and visit the Lynn Family Stadium in Louisville. I think it's amazing. It's a brand new stadium, and they share it with the USL's club,
yeah,
Louis City
Louisville City.
team.
Yep.
So Louisville City. So it's really exciting for Racing Louisville. Congratulations to the whole entire team. And to the city of Louisville to actually say, okay, we're going to expand and have our own women's um, team now. So that's amazing. And that club will their season starts 2021. And so it's going to be interesting to see what type of players they end up signing. I wouldn't be surprised if they look to North Carolina to, possibly make some trades or whatnot. And then, of course, with the 2021 NWSL draft coming up as well. I'm not sure how they're going to play it out this year, Nate, because I know usually whenever there's an expansion team, they tend to have an expansion draft where they'll pick their own players. And so, obviously, with everything going on, I'm not too sure how that's going to work out this year. And if it doesn't happen with an expansion draft, or they do decide to just do something smaller and pull players, I wouldn't put it past if the 2021 draft, they're still going to be the first. They're still going to have access to the first number one pick of the first round for next year. So it's going to be really exciting to see what happens with Racing Louisville. And I love their gear. I'm really trying to get myself a scarf at least. So anyone from Racing Louisville, please by all means feel free to send me a message or a DM or anything, because I'm loving the designs of the scarf. I think it's really cool, and just the material. And
The
I
logo
can't wait to see
itself,
the
to me,
kits. Yeah.
the logo is one of the best logos I've seen in sports.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
to be
Yes.
honest, I love the two tone purple, the gray. Like I think it's really nice. And also, this is just big for women's soccer, especially for Louisville to decide to invest in an expansion team now with going through COVID and a lot of the financial restraints that a lot of clubs are facing. For them to decide we're gonna add a women's team, especially in this time, is just goes to show how big women's soccer is becoming in North America. And honestly, it's needed because, to be fair, there needs to be more women in North America who feel like they could chase their dream to become a professional football player. So
And
that
not
adds
just, yeah.
20 more spots. 20
Yep.
more spots.
Not just North America. I mean, I still say, I think I presented like three more expansion teams that I think they should look at. Actually, I think Sacramento is one from what I heard. So Sacramento is supposed to be on their list. Definitely Los Angeles is one. I think that would be amazing to have an expansion team in Los Angeles. I thought to myself too that if they didn't think about it before, possibly in the city of Atlanta. I think Atlanta would be good to have an expansion team if possible. But one of the biggest ones, Toronto. Okay, to not have an expansion team in Canada for the women's league, that, let me tell you something. The day that happens, where if there's an expansion team, and ladies and gentlemen, you are hearing it first from Maggie and Tim and Nate Matthews, that an expansion team will come to Canada at some point in the future. And it's going to be in a place like Toronto, and it's going to be sick. It's going to be sick because the talent that comes out of Canada on the women's side, amazing.
I completely agree. I think Canada, especially Toronto, needs one because for those viewers who aren't familiar with Canadian soccer, for the Canadians women's side, how it differs from the US is that from the age of U15, the top talented girls go enter like Rex program, which is like they keep all the national team girls together from U15, U16, U17, U18, U19, all the way up to the time they go to college. And they're all training with Canada Soccer. So it's just like if you were to have the U.S. national team or any youth national team stay together for years upon years. So the amount of talent that Canada produces on the women's side and the ones that are coming up definitely is going to be huge. And if they were to bring a team to Toronto, it's going to be trouble for North Carolina. That's all I'm going to say. It will be trouble for North Carolina.
We'll see, but it's actually going to make the game even more better. It's going to make the game even more better. And so I'm just excited, and I'm really excited for this weekend. And I hope everyone will tune in. Also, too, I'm really hoping that these broadcast networks see what's happening. The first game alone for the Challenge Cup had about over 500,000 viewers, which was even more than MLS, which we'll get into MLS next. But I'm just hoping that the broadcast companies, whether that's your CBSs, your ESPNs, that something like this and what has been happening, it's like the perfect opportunity to say, okay, we need to really invest into women's soccer and actually showing it on TV and not showing the replays, but we can actually show it live to where people can tune in. For someone like myself, that would be amazing. I love to record all my games. I love to go back and watch it. I don't care if it was I still have the World Cup recorded on my DVR, and I go crazy if it's not there, because I always love to go back and watch these matches and critique the game. So for the broadcasters, that's something to look at as well. So hopefully those people will tune in to the game this weekend as well.
Definitely. And let's jump into the next league that started. MLS in the bubble in Orlando with what's going on with COVID. Maggie, last time we did speak about the MLS is back, hashtag MLS return to play. I was definitely excited to see a couple teams. I was excited to see FC Dallas. They didn't make it due to amount of corona cases that the team had. I was also excited to see the expansion team Nashville, but they didn't make it either because of the corona cases. And I was also excited to watch the Challenge Cup because there's so many short games in such a small length that I figured that I'd see a lot of homegrown talent from each club play. So overall, I was really excited, and I just love the group stage / knockout format. It reminds me of the World Cup, especially in the summer. So overall, I would say, though, I'm not surprised with the way Inter Miami has performed, to be honest.
Listen.
I didn't expect them to honestly do anything. Like I didn't expect them to be a competitive team. The team that did shock me the most, I would say, is Atlanta United because they're already eliminated. 2 games, 2 losses. They were the favorites going into it.
Listen, I'm sorry, I have to interject. I think you mean Atlanta United was your favorite to go in because I told you already who I was going for
No,
starting out.
I mean, statistically, they were one of the favorites to do
No
well.
way, they couldn't have. Their number one player, the most valuable player of the league, is injured. So I knew at that point it was all fair ground for the rest of the MLS teams to come in. So I don't know. I disagree on that side, but I'll let you continue.
I think that, but overall, Atlanta has one of the best. They got Emerson Hyman, who came from AFC Bournemouth in the Premier League. They have Barco, who was with the under-20 Argentina team. They
Not
have
impressed.
they have
Not
a
impressed.
strong squad where, like, they should have never lost to FC Cincinnati. I'm sorry. FC Cincinnati is one of the worst MLS franchises in history. I'm sorry to say it.
That's Nate's
That is how
opinion,
I
but I
feel.
will say
That
they
is
didn't.
my opinion.
Yeah, FC
But
Cincinnati didn't play too well. Their first game, and I just was like, wow. But to see, them even play Atlanta United and what happened with that, I just was like, wow.
2 red cards in 2 games. It seemed like Atlanta United just technically, tactically, they don't seem like they know how to play without Joseph.
Yep.
That's what it came down to.
That we can definitely agree on. So
And
they
I
need some
think,
work. There's some work that needs to be done there.
yeah, I think honestly the next game play well, I think they need to play more homegrowns now because the next game there's not much to be expected of you guys. Give your homegrown players a chance and let the big boys step up now because another team that surprised me, I would say, is Columbus Crew. They came out flying.
Listen, man, I didn't tell people don't sleep on Columbus, man. Columbus, yeah, they
came to play. They came to play, and I know Atlanta United is kicking themselves for getting rid of Narby because now he was one of their best midfielders, and he proved in this tournament why he is still one of the best midfielders in MLS just off of his performances and like his leadership role in the middle of the park. Like that Columbus team looks like a completely different team. They seem like they're more motivated to win. They're hungry, and they have some very, very talented players on that squad for sure.
Absolutely. You know who surprised me? And I stayed up last night watching this game. I was so tired, but San Jose, like, I don't know if you tuned into that game.
Oh yeah, I was looking because I was
yeah, they really surprised. I didn't even know that they had it in them to play like that. That game was interesting, but because over the past week watching these games, these matches, I really enjoyed the Columbus Crew match versus Red Bulls. I thought, oh, okay. I'm sorry, not Red Bulls. Their previous game, and I was like, oh, Columbus Crew is bringing it. I'm enjoying it. I'm loving it. But then to watch last night's game, I'm like, oh man,
like, that game. Can we talk about? I want to bring this up because I've seen this so often. There have been, first off, the extra time that has been added in these games have been crazy. And the amount of goals that have been scored after the 80th minute have been even crazier. Yeah. There have been so many last minute goals in these games in the MLS Challenge Cup. It's been like exciting football to watch. Seems like no teams are really defending.
Who do you think is taking it? I mean, I like Columbus Crew was something to watch. Obviously, what we saw with San Jose, it's something to watch. I'm still a huge fan of DC United, and I feel like they can definitely they'll definitely go all the way. Philadelphia Union surprised me also. They bought it the other night. That was a really good match. Those are some of my teams. Of course, Seattle Sounders are a couple of my favorite guys. LAFC, they played pretty good. That was a good game. The Galaxy surprised me, but they did pretty well. I love that they gave the opportunity to Cameron Dunbar, who's a homegrown
Cameron Dunbar.
player.
Oh my goodness.
Cameron,
What?
Cameron, listen, that boy has potential.
Listen.
Lots of potential, and I'm super excited for him. I was texting back and forth with his dad at the time when that happened, and I was just like, I'm so excited for him. So
Yeah.
that's gonna be
That.
amazing.
Um. Shout out to Cameron. Shout out to the homegrowns who have played and surprised me because
Yes,
even Toronto FC's 2 goals were scored by Ao Akiloa, and he's a homegrown as well, only 20 years old.
awesome.
And he started and knocked in 2 goals for them early, and then TFC ended up tying the game. So that in itself has been just honestly, I don't know I think teams haven't played for a very long time, and just the organization that has gone on between back lines have just been crazy. And even with the 5 substitutes that have been happening, it's just a lot on players to train so quickly and get back to playing. So some of these results were expected. I mean, I expected to see a lot of high scoring games just because of that reason. Like, you haven't been around for so long. Overall, the Challenge Cup, I mean, New England got a win. They looked okay. New York City FC looked appalling to me. They looked so shocking to me. New York City FC. I was very disappointed in how they played. So for Group A, definitely another team that surprised me is Orlando. Not necessarily the way they played,
Yeah,
but they looked a lot more organized than that franchise has in the past, and they look like they actually know what they're doing, and they have like a style of play, and they were gritty and they fought for their results. Good. I think they were managed very well. I think both games that they won, they just were just outmanaged. Like, their manager was just better than the other squad. So that's who I think. I mean, Group A, Orlando and Philadelphia really did surprise me. Um, Inter Miami didn't surprise me. New York City FC, I expected to do a lot better than
same.
what they did.
I wasn't really impressed.
I was not impressed. Honestly, I was kind of disgusted. I was. They didn't look like they wanted to play. They didn't look like they had any fight, any urgency. They looked lost. Honestly, when I was watching them play, I didn't know what they were trying to accomplish. They didn't look confident in the ball. They didn't look confident in what they were doing. It didn't look like they even wanted to be there, to be honest. Um, what other group? Let's see.
What would you say? I mean, so quarterfinals.
Quarter.
Who's your top 8?
My top 8. I'm going with out of Group A is definitely gonna be Orlando and Philadelphia. Those two are going through for sure. The next group,
For
let's
Group
see.
B.
Group B. Man.
Group B is tough because you got San Jose, you got Chicago, Seattle, Vancouver. I mean, I can give you my top 8. My top 8. While you decide on your top 8, I'm gonna tell you my top 8. So Group A, I'm going with Orlando and Philly for sure. Group B, I'm gonna say San Jose and Seattle.
Real, yeah. Yep.
San Jose. Listen, Seattle's the reigning champs, but never sleep on. I don't sleep on anyone when it comes to these tournaments because you just never know, right? I never thought that I would say San Jose, but the way they played last night, yes, I'm going San Jose, Seattle.
Yeah, San Jose
For
is a
Group
good franchise.
C, for Group C, I'm gonna go with DC United, and I'm probably gonna say I'm gonna say Toronto and DC United.
I'll agree with that.
Group D, I will say Colorado and Sporting KC. I'm gonna say those two. I think Minnesota has it. I think Salt Lake does too. But I'm gonna say I feel like Colorado and Sporting KC would definitely come out of that. And then for Group E, definitely Columbus. And obviously that leaves you with Red Bull, Cincinnati, and Atlanta, and Red Bulls. So I'm going with Red Bulls on this one. Red Bulls and Columbus. And then for Group F, I'm gonna close it out with Group F is tough because I Houston's bringing it too. That was a good match.
Yeah,
LAFC, of course, LA
LAFC.
Galaxy. It's tough, but I'm gonna say because LAFC also just signed like 3 homegrown players who are also phenomenal. Huge congratulations to those guys. Um, I'm gonna go with Houston and LAFC for
Wow.
Group F. And that's my top 8. Now, when
Wow.
we talk about the finals, um, I think I'm still rooting for DC on this one. It's something about DC United that I just feel like they have the potential to go all the way. Um, and I feel like it could end up being DC United. So the semifinals would be DC United. I'm gonna say DC United, San Jose, Houston, and maybe I don't know, maybe Columbus. And the winner of it all, or the top 2, could be Columbus versus DC United, or it could be LAFC. I don't know. That one is tricky. That for this tournament, I can't, ladies and gentlemen, I can't give my final. Maybe when we come back, on our next episode of the Inside Football, I'll be able to give you a better prediction of who would take it all. But as far as my top 8 and then my top 4 for that semifinals, those are my tops for right now. When we come back on the next episode, I'll be able to tell you who I think is going to be the final 2 teams. Because by that time too, we would have already went through the knockout stages at least, and you can see who's really bringing it.
Oh yeah, for sure. Because even for the viewers not listening, we've only seen each team play once. Only a
Mm-hmm.
few teams have played twice, so it's very early in the predictions. I'm gonna say, shout out to the homegrown players who played. Also, like that to me was very important, just for like preparations for like World Cups and like just U.S. soccer in general. That was exciting to see. I'm excited. I don't know. I think I don't know, man. I don't know. There's some great team, and I still want to see more from Group D. I want to see before I make a prediction on Group D. I'm gonna need to see
A little bit
Sporting
more.
Kansas City, just because they've all only played one game,
Yeah.
and every team had good moments, and the games were so close where either team could have won it. So that, and also Group F with like Portland, Houston, LAFC, and LA Galaxy, they only played once too, and those games were all like so close. So literally, any one of those teams can make it out of that group. I think that is a tough group in general. I think I honestly, Houston surprised me, because if I were to guess anyone at the bottom of that group, I would have guessed Houston. I would have guessed
Really?
LAFC. Yeah, I would have guessed LAFC, LA Galaxy, Portland above Houston. I
Hmm.
like Houston, but I didn't think that they would be up there. But
Interesting.
yeah, but I don't know. I don't know,
We'll
because
just
when they
have to wait
started,
and see.
because the reason why I said that is because when Houston started this season, they lost a game 4-0, and I was like, I'm not too sure about these guys. But because before this, remember, they lost to Sporting Kansas City 4-0. So, and then they tied LA Galaxy 1-1. So I didn't see that happening for them. LAFC, I thought they would be one of the favorites, but then when Carlos Vela pulled out because his wife is having a child, that changed the whole dynamic for LAFC. Just like for Atlanta missing their top forward, but still very early in the tournament. So it's exciting because there's football literally every single day. As an agent, or as just a fan of soccer, there's like 3 or 4 games a day, whether it's the Premier League, the Challenge Cup, USL, MLS. There's been games all day, all night, where I'm up at like 1 a.m. watching the last game at least. So it's very exciting, very fun, and let's jump into USL. Um,
Yes.
because before the last podcast we had, we were discussing USL's return to play, but we didn't really know how they were going to come back, in what capacity. They didn't really announce anything, but they did now. And for those who don't know USL is second division in America, USL Championship, and they decided that they're going to come back. Some strong points with USL that I was glad to see is, one, they have fans in some stadiums. Two, they are playing home and away matches. So the breakdown of what USL decided to do was they divided their league into 8 groups, 5 groups of 4 teams, along with 3 groups of 5 teams, and each team is taking part in the 16-game regular season. So the top 2 sides of each group in the regular season will advance to the USL Championship playoffs, and that will be they'll be placed in regionalized single elimination brackets. Each regular season schedule is made up of 12 group games, and a lot of the groups are based on the region of the team. So unlike the MLS tournament and the NWSL tournament, where all teams are in a centralized location, USL is doing it differently. And to be honest, I like the way USL decided to do it, with just having fans in, um, breaking it up regionally. I'm interested to see if MLS or will follow suit in breaking their um, their leagues down even more, because
I
we know
don't
they have two
think.
sides. I don't
Yeah,
think they're
I
gonna
don't
do
think
it.
MLS should do it, mainly because of COVID testing and what has been happening there. Um, Good to know that USL paid attention to my tweet a while back about saying that they should break it up into the different groups. It would be so much better and it would be greater. So it's good to see that they did that, and they actually liked that tweet before. So I'm sure that's probably where they got the idea to do it that way. But super excited. Love that they've already, like you said, Nate, to piggyback off of what you said, they opened up the doors to fans coming in at the stadium, obviously practicing health protocols and safety issues from social distancing, and also just keeping it a certain amount of space, making sure fans have their um, mask and stuff. I heard even some of them were doing like pre-testing too, where there's a way to get results on site. So that's really good that they're just taking all those steps and measures. And so who knows, depending on how the tournament goes, I may even want to check out a game or two, check out a few of my guys in there, depending on how things go. But I'm really excited for this tournament with USL. So far, it has been very interesting to watch these matches. I mean, it's been crazy. Some of them you kind of just go in and you know what's going to happen, and with some you're surprised. And there were a few matches that I was like, wow. Oh, I was like, that's how they're starting it off. Okay, so it's looking good.
Yeah, there were some very good games that were played, some very good goals that were scored. Um, the one person who, I mean, I expected this to come out flying was Solomon Asante. With
Oh man, Solomon. I mean,
he's a different level. To be
not
honest,
even
I'm
Solomon Junior. Okay, Junior Flemo. He bought it in about the first maybe what first minute of the game. He already hit a goal flying with the assist from Solomon. So once I saw that, I was like, oh yeah, this game is over pretty much. Like I already know what Phoenix is on. I know it. Like they were literally rising to the top in that game, and it was they've always been one of my favorites, and I'm excited to see more from them.
yeah, Phoenix looked very good. Um, the Sacramento game was very, very good.
Mm-hmm.
That
New Mexico
Yeah,
looked
that
very
New
good.
Mexico. Honestly, New Mexico. scored one of the best goals of the week that I saw.
Yes.
One of the best goals.
Don't get Salih Muhammad started, man, because he's a problem. He's a problem. San Diego. San Diego's impressed me. I'm really excited. Landon Donovan has been doing a great job preparing those guys, and I'm really looking forward to seeing more of them during this tournament.
Oh yeah, Indy 11 looked good as well. The team that did surprise me was Louisville. I expected them to beat Pittsburgh.
Yeah, me too. And then I was like, man, you guys like started the season back in your, like in your new stadium, but it's like, ugh, that wasn't too great. But
that was sad. They did have they did have fans there, I believe, as well.
Yes, they did.
And it was like over 5,000.
Mm-hmm.
It was a good showing for them. Birmingham Legion looked really good against Memphis.
Yes, they did. They did. Because Memphis looked pretty decent too. We know Charlotte Independence, they'll be playing within another week or two. Tampa Bay Rowdies, they looked pretty decent.
Yeah, Tampa Bay. To be fair, those Atlanta United, I don't expect much from their USL squad. LA Galaxy, I don't expect much from. The MLS academies, MLS second teams, I don't expect much from. I think that the game that I'm really excited to see is actually the game tonight between Phoenix Rising and Orange County SC, because Orange County is it's their first game, and that franchise is a very interesting one. They signed some top young prospects, and then one of their young top prospects is signed a contract with Wolfsburg and is gone. So Orange County is very, very, very interesting franchise, and Phoenix is I think the best team in the league. So
yeah, I have to agree.
I'm just very curious as to why Solomon Asante is still there, because
come on, like one of the top leading assist players, one of the top players of USL consistently, at least 2-3 years in a row, and he's from Ghana.
Yeah, he's Ghanaian. He's played 73 games in USL, and he has 39 goals and 31 assists.
Crazy.
Like, those numbers are ridiculous. And with MLS's transfers going on right now, I'm surprised the team didn't try to pick him up.
Exactly. But if I'm MLS, hopefully during this second transfer window, they'll look to recruit Solomon. If not, even the European leagues. He's a top player. No disrespect to USL, but he's definitely ready, like beyond ready. He's ready to go. There's a few more people. When I look at Flemo, I look at his teammate Junior. He can definitely do well with an MLS club. I look at guys like Dane Kelly from Charlotte Independence, who was the top leading scorer. Amazing striker. See, Dane and Flemo kind of like played together back in Jamaica. So when it comes to that, it's like they're no joke. Then you look at Salih Muhammad as well from New Mexico. These guys need to be within the MLS or at least within a European club. It just doesn't make sense to me. But I will say I enjoy them being where they are currently, because that's what keeps USL even more entertaining, and it makes you want to watch it. But I know those guys are ready for the big leagues, as well as a few others that are within USL, some veteran players that really need to be within other leagues.
Oh yeah, most definitely. And to give credit to USL, I think overall it's just an exciting league to watch. Like, USL players, they're like the playing style of some of the teams. I mean, I'm still hoping that Miami FC does a little bit better, or they start off their season.
Oh, there's something
Um,
going on with Miami because Miami
there's
on
there's
both sides are a
there's
little
something in the
questionable.
Miami water. There's
It could
something
be
in the Miami
COVID
water.
because that's in the air for sure, but I don't know. But I honestly say that's what I love about the game, Nate. Like you just never know how it's gonna go, right? The teams that we know is gonna perform, like we know Phoenix Rising is gonna perform, we know New Mexico is gonna perform, we know San Diego is gonna perform, we even know El Paso is going to perform. But I'm excited because of like to watch other groups like Group F and Group H kind of do more. I'm looking forward to seeing Charlotte Independence play because I know they've had a lot of changes with some players and shifting some things around. So I definitely want to see them play, and I think it's going to be interesting with their group as well. Um, I'm looking forward to seeing more of like San Antonio, Austin,
Yeah,
FC
those
Tulsa. That group too is going to be very interesting. Um, Pretty much all the groups really are going to be very interesting, and it's just going to be really exciting to see what happens next. So, who do you think is going to take the crown for this one, or at least head out
I
to
think
finals? Would you say,
I
if
think
if you could predict it?
definitely I have to say that it's gonna be group group A. I really like Sacramento Republic
Huh?
for
Yep.
sure. That's who I think will make it. Um, Group B is a very tough one for me because they have three teams that I actually four teams that I five actually all five teams I'm really fans of. Like I love San Diego Loyal and what Landon's doing and Carey, and that organization is honestly one of the ones I like working with. I enjoy working with them. Um, Phoenix Rising, of course, is the favorite. You have LA Galaxy too, which um, they're they have some young players in the Los Angeles Academy, so they're very interesting. Las Vegas, I've always liked because honestly, their jerseys are cool and the way the organization is set up. And Orange County, the same way. I think they have some great youth players that they have, and they've been doing a good job in that, like getting young, talented players and developing them. So Group B is a very tough one. I'm gonna say Phoenix at the top, and I think San Diego as well. I think that those guys will finish 1 and 2. Um, for Group C, I'm definitely gonna go with um, New Mexico's my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
They're they're going up there. And then I'm gonna have to say El Paso as well. I do like El Paso. Group D is tough because you have Austin, Tulsa, San Antonio, OKC Energy. I think it's gonna end up being San Antonio and between Tulsa and the Bold.
Mm-hmm.
Group E, I can tell you Sporting Kansas City is probably gonna finish last. I like Indy 11 and I like Indy 11 and I like Louisville as well. So I think those two are the favorites there. I think Group F, oof, oof. Pittsburgh's probably gonna take it. I think the Riverhounds, yeah, the Riverhounds will take it. Loudon is such an interesting franchise. I I'm not too sure as of yet. Hartford I haven't seen, but based on how they did last year, I don't expect much. Period. Like I think they'll finish last probably. Um, Group G, man, Group G. Oh my goodness, Group G. You have Charlotte Independence and Birmingham Legion with North Carolina FC and Memphis. I like the way Birmingham Legion looked. I am a fan of Charlotte Independence and North Carolina both. That's a nice little rivalry there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, I think it's gonna be Birmingham and Charlotte to make it out of that group.
Yeah.
And the last one is I think is no shade, but the weakest group in USL. It's Tampa Bay, Charleston, Atlanta United 2, and the Miami FC. I I think Tampa Bay's one of the best teams in USL overall. I think they're gonna make it out with Charleston. I think Atlanta United 2 will finish dead last, and I think Miami will finish third if they can get their act together. But that's the way I see it going.
So we had a lot of the same clubs mostly. Like obviously we know the obvious for Group A. For my choice would be Sacramento Republic to the top for sure. But coming out of there, it could be Sacramento versus Tacoma possibly. Um,
Yeah, Tacoma.
but Sac taking it as a whole. Group B is the toughest. It's one of the toughest. It's probably one of the favorites, one of the fan favorites overall. I mean, San Diego's amazing, Phoenix, Las Vegas, but I gotta go with the top two is gonna be San Diego and Phoenix because there are 5 teams within that group. So I would say, but then again, you know what? Orange County. It all depends tonight what Orange County looks like because I wouldn't sleep on them. So, and if it came down to it, it would be San Diego, Phoenix, and Orange County. But the top of the top is obviously gonna go to Phoenix. It's definitely gonna go to
Yeah,
Phoenix for that one. For Group C, El Paso's good. I like Colorado. Definitely New Mexico is number one for me. It'll be New Mexico and El Paso, but you never know what Colorado can do, or even the Real Monarchs. You just never know. Group D, I like San Antonio. I like Austin. I like FC Tulsa. OKC is okay, but I gotta go with Tulsa and San Antonio for this one.
mm,
And the final one to me is going to be Tulsa. I don't put it past them that they can bring it. Group E, Indy 11, they looked pretty good. Um, Sporting Kansas somewhat, Louisville too. I feel like out of that group, it'll be between Indy 11 and Louisville. One of them will definitely bring it. And then for Group F, Group F is interesting. I'm not really a fan of all the clubs a part of that group. Want to see more from Philadelphia Union to Red Bulls as well. I think Pittsburgh can do it, but I wouldn't put it past. I wouldn't put it past the Red Bulls. I think the Red Bulls and Pittsburgh would come to the final, and if it had
yeah,
to be out of one of those two, I'm probably gonna say Pittsburgh. And then for Group G, of course, that's another tough one. You got the North Carolina rivalry, North Carolina FC versus Charlotte Independence, and then of course Birmingham and Memphis looked decent, even though they lost, they still look decent. So that's an interesting group. Gotta go with my top two would also be Birmingham and Charlotte Independence. Charlotte Independence is a favorite for me. Have a few guys on there, so and they got Dane Kelly. That's one of the best. So I wouldn't sleep on them. Birmingham looked good too, but I'm gonna go with Charlotte for Group G. And then for Group H, I agree. It is kind of like the weakest link. But I'm gonna definitely go with Tampa Bay. But I'm also gonna say don't sleep on Miami for that one. Even though Miami's a little rough and Atlanta United is questionable, I wouldn't sleep on that group. But I'm still gonna go with Tampa Bay as a whole for that one.
oh for
And
sure.
that wraps up pretty much our take on teams and players and coming back and playing. Um, so it's going to be interesting. And I would say to people, definitely stay tuned for NWSL, for the Challenge Cup for that, for MLS, for USL. Definitely stay alert and just pay attention to all those games and let us know if our predictions are right or wrong. And feel free to, comment on our Twitter, our Instagram, and have that dialogue with us. Let us know what you think also.
Definitely, definitely, guys. Also, let's touch on the European side of things. What has gone on this week, who's been big news around the world of football, is Man City's financial fair play decision. So, for those who don't know about football or financial fair play is run by UEFA and it was created because financial fair play is like the governing body of the finance that football clubs in Europe are controlled by. So earlier in the earlier in the decade, I'd say 2014, Man City were fined because they did breach financial fair play rules with the amount of sponsorship money that they said they received. What happened was the case was reopened because it was discovered that they also were fixing their books by one of their main sponsorships slash owner groups. One of their sponsorships was run by one of the owners of the club, and it was said that they offered inflated sponsorship money, and then sent that money back to the club so that it would help clean their books. What happened was financial fair play and UEFA came in and decided that um, Man City would be banned for 2 years from Champions League football, as well as a $30 million fine. And that went to the Court of Arbitration, um, as well as the CAS. So the Court of Arbitration ended up overturning the 2 year ban from European football, and the fine the fine that was 30 million, I believe, went down to 10 million. So for me, well, for the implications of the league, in the Premier League, a lot of teams were fighting for, and historically, a lot of teams fight for the first to fourth place to qualify for Champions League, because when you qualify for European leagues, it brings your clubs a lot more money to spend on transfers from the agent side of things. And for the players, a lot of players like to go to Champions League clubs. So with this being in up in the air, the Man City ruling for 5 months, a lot of teams like Wolverhampton Wonders, let's say, or like Leicester City, Arsenal, Man City, Chelsea, Manchester United, even Sheffield United is up there. We're all fighting for the top 5 spots, because even if you finish fifth, the way the ruling was held, unless Man City won the Champions League this year, which they are still in, they would be not eligible to qualify for Europe next year. That also means for Man City as a club, you lose that attraction of getting top players to your club, because if you're not playing in Champions League, a lot of top players don't want to move to clubs that aren't even eligible, because then what are you really playing for within the season besides just winning the Premier League? So it was very interesting, the ruling. I think that there's just a lot of corruption, because there shouldn't be, my opinion is, if the ruling that UEFA 5 financial fair play came up with, which was, hey, um, Champions League is run by UEFA. They run all the European clubs. I feel as if they decided that they found Man City should be banned for 2 years, that they should be. But then if the Court of Arbitration comes in and overturns the Man City ban, then it feels like financial fair play really does not have and hold any weight, or is going to hold any clubs accountable in the future, because this has really set the precedent. So that's my take. I've also been reading in the news of speculation with other clubs now that are on like the fifth place, sixth place um, in the Premier League, that they're going to have trouble holding on to their top players now, because they were really focused on landing that Champions League spot. But if the club doesn't get Champions League, those players could leave now. So that is just a big trickle down effect of what's going to happen with the Premier League, and just what other clubs view as right with financial fair play. So it's very interesting, especially in the transfer market for agents and clubs and players. Maggie, what is your take on financial fair play? Sorry, that was like really deep.
No, it was good. It was good. It was good. Your explanation was perfect. I think, I mean, it's not much to say except, like, I I like Man City, but if financial, fair play was found, I think, just like everyone else, it's like you commit the crime, you got to do the time, right? So if you got to get the ban, yeah, then you're gonna be banned until you learn, like, okay, we don't need to do that. But if it's proven that they're innocent, then so be it. But um, I think it sucks because if other teams were looking forward to like moving up a spot because of that, all their dreams could be shattered now because it's like, wait a minute, okay, wait, this is not the case. But then it also makes me wonder when I heard the news and I'm like, wait, it was overturned. Who paid what to have it overturned, or like what's going on? So I'm still up in the air on that one until I get full clarity on it. But for the most part, like you said, just in terms of the transfer window, free agents, it's a great time for us as agents because this is where possibly players that we maybe always wanted, or players that are looking to just kind of make some moves and or even find new teams or new agents to get behind them. It's a great time for us, at least, I would say.
Yeah, most definitely. Also, news today, we talked about this earlier, but Jude Bellingham's deal to Borussia Dortmund is done.
Yes.
He did complete
Yes.
his medical today and signed the 5-year contract, which takes him to um, Borussia Dortmund for 5 years. Congrats to Jude getting that done.
Congratulations, Jude, and the whole Bellingham family. Congratulations on it. I know that was something that we all were keeping our eyes on. Something else in current news today too that happened. Kudz Mohammed, my Ghanaian brother, made the move over to Ajax now, so he's officially there. As they said, that everything, contract signed, sealed, ink dried. Definitely salute to my girl Jennifer, one of the top agents out of France, for getting that done, as well as Morgan. You guys are amazing. I know they've been working on that for some time, so that's amazing. And of course, there's still other transfers that everyone's trying to figure out what's going to happen. You have people in La Liga trying to figure out where they're going. You have people in Premier League trying to figure out where they're going, because everyone is waiting and trying to find out if Jadon Sancho is going to end up in Manchester United. I don't think I've ever seen or heard of the football world revolving around one player like this. Like literally from several leagues, players are not moving yet, or they're everybody's just waiting to see what's going to happen with this one player. You have Ansu Fati, that also was a hot topic that we discussed on previous episodes about whether or not he's going to stay with Barcelona. I think we all know he's going to stay where he's at. It's only right. But he, too, is also waiting to see if Sancho is going to go to Manchester United. And everyone's like, well, what's the holdup? Obviously, with COVID, also the amount, that transfer fee is kind of hefty. And so um, it's like, is Man United going to pay that 100 million euros to get him? Some people are saying it's not worth it to pay that to bring Sancho to Man United when you have talent right in front of you, right under your nose. When you take someone like Mason Greenwood, you can always just keep him and you know build up that roster even more and give him more playing time. But some are like, well, no, bring Sancho over. Because then the question becomes, if you bring Sancho, do you trade Greenwood in exchange? What are your thoughts on that? And do you think Sancho is going to come to United?
I I mean, with the reports that Man U aren't paying over 50 million for him, that's ridiculous. Like that won't happen. Man U's got to pay the money to get Sancho. That's what I think it's going to come down to, 100%. Or, I mean, Manchester United, are they willing to give up a top talent like Mason Greenwood? I I don't think so. I think Sancho would fit into that United attack because that their playing style, their movement, their fluidity, Pogba, Bruno Fernandes, Martial, Sancho is honestly, and Rashford, let's not forget, is terrifying, to be honest, if you're a defender in the Premier League, to face all those boys. And even the way Mason Greenwood has been playing, he looks like he's gonna be a top player for the future as well. United's very interesting. I think that they should get the Sancho deal done. They definitely should. I think he's, let's be real, Jadon Sancho to any team is an addition. Any team in the world will take him, and he'll be in the starting 11. So I'm excited. I'm really excited to see what goes on in that. Um, so I want to say that from North American players, I just want to congratulate Kobe Hernandez Foster, and as well as Brang Ko, both of them U.S. Youth National Team players at the under 17 level. They both attended the World Cup. Um, Ko's from Orange County, and he signed with Wolfsburg, and he'll be joining their under 23 team. And Kobe Fernandez from Los Angeles Galaxy too. He will be joining Wolfsburg's U19s for next season. So that makes it two more top youth American players who've made it over to Germany. Hopefully they can follow in the footsteps of Christian Pulisic, Giovanna Reina, and those players who have developed over the last couple of years in Germany and have made big moves for the U.S. national team, as well as, let me not forget Josh Sargent, who's out there with Werder Bremen as well. Good luck to those boys. I'm excited to see where their career goes. So that would be very interesting as well.
Absolutely.
And also, just another announcement has been made that the transfer window in the year for the England starts on. Ooh, it starts on 25th or 27th? 27th of July, and then it ends internationally on October 5th, domestically on the 16th. So it's very, very, very fun times, very interesting times. It coincides with the MLS transfer window that opens on August 12th and ends in October 27th, as well as the rest of European leagues are following suit. They're beginning either July 25th to October 5th as well. That's going to be very interesting to have all of the windows open at one time for agents.
Busy time. It's going to be extremely busy.
I mean, I've seen requests every single day, and I know Maggie's seen requests every single day from Europe and just even with MLS. So it's going to be a very interesting time for us. And just the last topic we want to touch on is how each league did deal with the Black Lives Matter movement. Maggie, if you want to go into that in depth, go ahead.
Sure. So on one of our previous episodes, we did discuss, we talked about Black culture and just Black culture within soccer with a friend to the show and a friend of ours, Aaron Dolores from Black Arrow. We spoke about that. And then we spoke about just players in places like Europe and, here in America showing solidarity and unity and showing their feelings, towards social injustice and ending racism. But in America in particularly, what we saw with the National Women's Soccer League, and we saw players like Casey Short taking a kneel, and we saw Sarah Gordon from Chicago Red Stars taking a kneel and taking a step further to say, okay, let's try to put something together to really help with the league and how it's portrayed and how those things are looked at when it comes to Black Lives Matter. So the National Women's League are working on a few things to help with that initiative. And then we saw obviously one of the most powerful, impactful movements from the MLS. Huge shout out to Justin Morrow and all the players. It consists of about maybe 60 to 70 African American players, even a mixture of other minorities, from Latino backgrounds, and they all came together and formed the Black Players Coalition within MLS, and they've had talks and meetings, and have worked with MLS Players Associations as well as Don Garber, where they're looking to fix a lot of things, whether that's providing opportunities for these players that retire to then say, hey, we can then we can look at becoming sporting directors or possibly assistant head coaches or head coaches even. And then even stepping it up further to say, okay, let's look at the boards in the front office. Let's get some more people of color within the front office of MLS as well as the board of directors. But just that moment to see those guys walk out where they had t-shirts displayed with Black Lives Matters, and it had different sayings like, I am black, or I too relate to like George Floyd, or I'm a Trayvon Martin, or I'm Breonna Taylor. It's like, say her name, say their name, say his name, and just really stand there and put the fist in the sky. It was amazing moment. Nate, what are your thoughts on what MLS came out and did? Like, I got emotional watching it and thought it was just amazing and groundbreaking and very impactful.
I think what MLS did and the Black Players Coalition did was just like one word: powerful. Like, I think uh, um just the whole way that the MLS supported the boys and doing what they had to do, the t-shirts, the masks, the unity, the solidarity that was shown between the MLS and the Players Coalition was just so powerful. And I just even want to congratulate or just shout out Thierry Henry as well, because he did kneel for the first 8 minutes and 46 seconds
Yes.
in honor of George Floyd as a football coach. So that was very powerful as well, because we all know Thierry Henry isn't even from North America. But for him to do that, and just all the players' tributes with let's go back to the young player from LA Galaxy with his Black Lives Matter boots, and just everything that the players have been doing showed real solidarity. And you see all of the teammates are speaking up, no, regardless of race, religion. All of the players seem unified. For the women's league, it was different. There was a situation that happened there that I was disappointed in, um, where most of the girls were kneeling. Some of them decided that they didn't want to. And I just think that it just goes back, and it just not even goes back to, but it goes to show that you have teammates that are going to help fight for you and like help defend you and have your back on the field. But outside the white lines, you can't even show them support. It's just really disheartening to see, but I didn't see any of that with MLS. So kudos to those guys. USL, I'm excited to see what those guys do. I really do like what San Diego's uniforms. I think they have one of the best designed uniforms and one of the like best messages. I saw Elijah Martin's uniform, and I think that the marketing team and the media team for San Diego did a really good job in just showing the players the jerseys and releasing the jerseys. I think it was very powerful to see that, and I'm excited to see what more USL teams come up with. I know Hugh's a big spokesman and advocate for the Black Lives Matter movement in USL, so really excited to see what he's doing. Also, congratulations to the foundation that he was started. Maggie, great work again. It's great to see that we have one player who's actually speaking up, and not even speaking up, but actually putting more actions into the words and his beliefs. So USL, I'm very proud of. MLS, I'm very proud of as well.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for USL. There has been teams that have been very vocal. Like you said, San Diego's done an amazing job. So Landon Donovan, Carey Taylor, the whole team, Elijah Martin. He and I were talking about it, and I was like, this is so impactful. I love it. Definitely, Hugh Roberts, Brandon Miller, you guys, George Davis, what you guys are doing right now with USL is like amazing and just stepping up and really taking action. Hugh knows already how just it's such an honor to even represent him, work with him, to work with Brandon Miller, and just to hear how vocal they are, but also stepped into the role to be the two ambassadors and two leaders of USL on the players' side to show the players, like, listen, these issues hit us personally, and you know, either we're all gonna stay united and do this, or we're just not. And and a huge shout out to Charlotte Independence for supporting Hugh and really listening to the message. You know, the owners and president of the team, they organized a really great meeting to sit with the players and talk with them, and actually wanting to learn more about their concerns. I also know that Louisville City did the same thing as well. Um, and so it's exciting to see that these teams and these owners are looking into it, and there's going to be a lot more coming from USL for sure, with when it comes to Black Lives Matter, when it comes to just taking initiatives and taking action. So definitely stay tuned for that. And yeah, once again, with MLS, with NWSL, I'm just really proud of all of them. I feel like we're in a time where, because sports is resuming, but it feels so good to know that soccer was carrying the torch for all of these things. You know, usually we'll see this within the NFL, we'll see this within the NBA, but to see soccer, to see football as a whole, the number one and global sport, to see them doing this and having the support of, you know, the top of the top from their teams, their owners, their leagues, and even to the very top, to have FIFA support all around and say, we support them, we stand with them. We're also taking initiatives on our side too, to make sure that, you know, these players feel comfortable and know that, okay, you know, you're not in this alone. You have the support. And so I'm just proud of everyone within the space, and I'm excited to see more and just, you know, see a lot of changes happen within the industry.
Yeah, most definitely, most definitely, guys. And I would just like to say, before we go, thank you guys all for tuning in to the Inside Football episode hosted by myself and Maggie, the Inside Agents. And we will see you guys all next week. Do not forget.
Yes.
Go ahead, Maggie.
Oh, no. You were saying don't forget.
Oh, yeah. Do not forget to follow, like, subscribe, comment, share your insight with us on our podcast. We'd love to hear your guys' feedback. We'd love to hear your guys' predictions with what you think is going to happen with the Women's Challenge Cup, the MLS Return to Play tournament, as well as your USL predictions. We would love to hear it. We'd love to hear your feedback on the podcast. Guys, stay safe, corona free, wear your mask, wash your hands, practice social distancing, and we will see you guys next Friday.
Yes, thank you guys so much for tuning in. And don't forget to follow us on our social medias too, the Inside Agents on both Instagram and Twitter as well as visiting our YouTube channel, also, the Inside Agents. Thank you guys.